Number 10. Deskman. Many believe that Deskman is actually William Afton or Scott Kaufman. We don't know for sure, but he definitely seems to be someone who is meant to be either of those creators, just based on all the words that he says. Deskman at one point asks you about deactivating his games, which makes him seem like he's Scott, who makes games. However, at another time he tells you that it is too late to do anything as baby is here and she can't be deactivated, which makes him seem like he's actually William Afton. Deskman overall is definitely a mystery and secret just waiting to be solved. His death and the words he says could reflect the games or the lore depending on which role he's actually meant to resemble. Number 9. The show will begin momentarily. When you go to see Deskman, there is a direct reference to Sister Location that can be spotted, or rather heard. You can hear the version of Circus Baby from FNAF World saying out loud, "The show will begin momentarily. Everyone please stay in your seats." While the lights are out, it's here that Deskman ends up being killed. We don't know if it's Baby that causes his death or whether he does so himself. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, just a quick reminder to please click like if you love this video. Anytime that you click like, you know we get a day closer to a new FNAF game. Actually, if we get a certain amount of likes, I think we get the new FNAF game like right now. I'm just kidding, that's not gonna happen. But if you want more FNAF, you can also check out our playlist. Number 8. Instant refight. Refight? Is that a thing? Now it's a thing. I made it a thing. You're welcome. For Pork Patch, who is one of the bosses in the game and is terrifying by the way, there is a little secret that you might find useful while playing, which allows you to refight him immediately after you fail. If you fail. Hopefully you don't fail. Pork Patch just looks like some Franken-Pig animatronic by the way, like an animatronic that may or may not have been made out of real pork, which is now like rotting away. I'm a little disturbed. For the Pork Patch fight, there is a little shortcut you can use, sailing on your little lily pad around and down and hitting a button in the world to refight him again. And if you didn't know about that, now you know. Number 7. The honking sound. Throughout the game franchise, there have been little Easter eggs strewn about that allow you to create a honking sound, usually by clicking on something. In the first game, this would happen when clicking on the poster. In the fourth game, this would happen when you clicked on the plushie on the bed. In FNAF World, the nose honk sound also exists, and you can find it when clicking Freddy's nose on the title screen. So if you're wondering where that honk noise went and you were hoping it was somewhere in here, you can enjoy finding it right at the beginning of the game. Honk honk! It also kinda sounds like one of those noisemakers that rolls out. What are those called? A party favor? A party blower? A party horn? You know what I mean, the things. They roll out. Number 6. Finding the clock ending. This is an ending that you need to be patient in order to find. It will come up during a conversation with good old glitchy Fredbear. You gotta wait for him to get glitchy by the way, but you can't exit out of that conversation. Don't exit out. Waiting a few moments will mean that you end up getting additional instructions, being told additionally to find the clock. The clocks are scattered throughout the game, with a few being located in the Mysterious Mine, one in Pinwheel Funhouse, another in Fazbear Hills, and one in Dusting Fields. There is a specific order in which you'll collect these clocks, starting with Fazbear Hills. Before you collect each one, you will receive additional instructions to help you know where to look, and each one can be activated by completing a puzzle or solving a game. You will then have to battle Pork Patch to receive the key, which gets you access to a warp circle, which takes you to this secret ending. So many steps. It's also believed that you need to play the game on hard mode to unlock this ending.
Halfway through into number 5, Blacklight mode. You may not have seen the Blacklight animatronics if you aren't paying attention to the merch, but if you did pay attention to the merch, you would have seen them, okay? They released Blacklight plushies and pop figures a long time ago without any real explanation. Well, as it turns out, these alternate colored animatronics are actually for Help Wanted's Blacklight mode, or hard mode, whatever you want to call it. You don't actually get to see them unless you boundary break, since the animatronics are hidden behind the curtains that don't open in Blacklight mode, but they are still there. They also appear in the parts and service repair games, but since the room's so dark you can't actually tell that they're Blacklight. Although technically, if you think about it, they're kind of scrapped, but they are in the game, even if you can't see them. It depends on how you want to take changed, okay, because technically they were scrapped, but technically they're also still included, but you can't tell that they were included. I don't know. You know what? It's my list. I can do whatever I want, okay? The Blacklight animatronics were a change. That's it, okay? But you know what I want to change? I want a Glitchtrap pop figure, okay? That's what needs to change. That's not a thing. They need to make it a thing. Also make a Vanny pop figure, please. Like a dummy thick one, specifically. Thank you. And at 4, Rogue Mechanics. If you're an avid fan of this channel or of Ultimate Custom Night, you may already know about this detail, but in fact, the mechanics of a few characters have actually changed after just one day. Nightmare Freddy, Phone Guy, and Foxy were all implemented on April 1st of their specific year, with their behaviors based on incorrect theories, basically using that to disprove them in that moment and then torturing us and William with them. Phone Guy couldn't talk while Springtrap was on the move because, you know, he can't be in 2 places at once because Phone Guy's supposed to be William, yeah. Nightmare Freddy, when jump scaring you, would actually wake you up for a nightmare for a bit and then you'd fall back to sleep and go back into the game to finally show us that dream theory is wrong. And Foxy would come help you out by blocking a doorway because people thought that Foxy was a good guy. Those are neat ways of disproving theories, but like, really, Scott? You had to use the whole Foxy as a good guy theory and not something more impactful? Like, it's kind of a troll if you ask me. The next day, however, the mechanics were switched to what they are now. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, cameras. The beta for FNAF was full of unused or cut features. Some of these were interesting, like the original camera map, while now we see boxes that indicate the rooms where the cameras are located and then lines leading to the other rooms and the hallways and such. Originally, we actually saw the entire layout at once, and we could actually see the directions that the cameras were facing, showing us what we'd really be looking at. I can see how this would be useful, but since the game plays more like a slideshow in a way, instead of the animatronics free roaming, we didn't really need all that information. And the design that we know and love today really kept it simple and accessible, and that's all we really needed. They'll end up in one position on that camera, then they'll be in another, and then like knowing the direction of the camera in this case doesn't really matter. It would have been interesting for sure, and like maybe you could have included that in Security Breach, because that would have been useful. You should have included this in Security Breach. What the hell? I'm mad about this. Like, cause like you just click on the box and then you're like, oh, where's this supposed to be looking? I don't know if it's looking at me or not. Do it! Fix it! Penultimately, in at number 2, co-op mode. Believe it or not, FNAF was actually going to include a multiplayer mode. Well, at least in Help Wanted. In the game files, there is a folder called Multiplayer that has several files stored within it. These files are named Character Info Table, MP Game Mode, and so on, suggesting that multiplayer mode was actually planned with this release. But now, it's kind of unclear whether it was intentionally scrapped or maybe saved for a future game or something. Maybe to build hype, maybe they were just testing it out. Like, I don't know. Do you have a theory about that? Like, do you know if multiplayer mode is going to return, or no one knows, but like, do you think multiplayer mode is going to return or not, or make an appearance in this game, in Security Breach, or in a future game? What would multiplayer mode look like? Would you play it? Let me know in the comments, okay? My theory is that the multiplayer mode may have been for the trailer, since you can see the hands and the head of the person who's actually playing, but it could be something else. I don't know. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't remove the files from the game, or like why they would call it multiplayer if it was for the trailer and only for the trailer. And finally, in at number 1, the FNAF story we know and love, but also rage at on a daily basis. Just kidding, that's just me. Well, it's a complicated story that makes everyone want to cry, and specifically me cry myself to sleep. It could have been a lot simpler and just straight to the point. 3 games, 1 story. Yes, that's right. In case you missed it in previous videos, the FNAF story was only actually meant to be 3 games long, with William dying in FNAF 3's fire. However, the community thought that the Springtrap jump scare was disappointing, so Scott overcorrected in FNAF 4 with the nightmares. But then we got more confused, so we had to continue. The story could have been 3 games long, okay? Maybe even no book series, no movie, no Fazbear Frights books. Yeah, like how insane is that? That's stupid. This is a 9-game long story that could have been 1/3 of its length. God damn it. This makes me rethink my whole life. Like, is this really what this channel should be covering? Like, I like talking about Skyrim. I love Skyrim. Why can't I talk about Skyrim? Because you don't click on anything that's not FNAF. And its end names don't matter. Scott Kaufman is the creator of the FNAF games, so I think that we can take his word for everything in the series. Unless he's trying to troll us at least. And in an interview, I'm pretty certain with Daco, he said that the names he gave the characters don't really matter. There wasn't much thought behind it, especially in the first game. The names of Jeremy, Fritz, and Mike Schmidt don't really matter. Now, whether the names of all the characters don't matter is up for debate, since he, after the first game, wanted to tell a story, so we unfortunately can't throw away or confirm the Mike Schmidt-Michael Afton connection yet. However, if you're currently looking into the meaning of those names, and maybe even names like Gregory or Elizabeth, maybe it's best to hold off on that until it's our only option. I personally don't think that we've presented every possible scenario yet, mostly because other people don't want to hear anything other than what's been generally understood right now. Like what we generally accept is what happened in FNAF. People don't want to hear something else, but hey, that's not my problem. And at 9, the books. The main series of FNAF books, those being the Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, and the Fourth Closet, don't have much connection to the actual games. They tell a different story, yet on another Earth or something like that. However, they are from the same mind as the games, so they do share common elements, and they would have some hints to help us figure out the base series, because he'd already have a story in mind for that, and he can't really just lose it entirely. But where the books really come in clutch is the Fazbear Frights series, a book series originally said to only have 5 books that ended up getting itself some more. The Fazbear Frights books are, by Scott's own words, meant to help us solve various aspects of the games, and that's where these books come in handy. Without them, we wouldn't know how William always came back, or that he just never died until actually possessing the hard drive, and many more things. So maybe if you're looking for answers, these books are the place to go first. Also because these stories are genuinely scary. And at 8, FNAF Multiverse. I personally cannot wait for the FNAF Multiverse canon. I'm really interested to see where that canon's story will go, and if it will be easier to follow than the main FNAF story. The new universe, of course, being thanks to the Fazbear Fanverse initiative Scott has put together, helping fan game creators have funding to make additional games in their series, or releasing new and updated versions for their old games, with popular series like Five Nights at Candy's getting another game, as well as The Joy of Creation getting a remade collection. But this also contains FNAF Plus, a fan recreation of the first game which looks utterly terrifying, and will serve as the start of that FNAF universe's timeline. If they used like the main games, it would be complicated and like it would be weird, okay? Like from a lore perspective, like it would have to be the exact same thing, and it would be weird. I love the idea of multiple Earths, as I'm sure you all know, where anything you can imagine is literally happening on another planet, and I think that that's really inspirational at times. Like you can literally do whatever you want, like whatever you set your mind to, because it's happening somewhere already. You just gotta have it happen here too. Like how else am I supposed to find the motivation to take over the world? Honestly. And at 7, the apple tree. The saying goes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and while that isn't always the case, it certainly became the case for Elizabeth in the FNAF series. Elizabeth being the daughter of the purple guy we all know and some of us love a little too much. You know, William Afton. Elizabeth, however, gets scooped on the first day of Circus Baby's Pizza World being open and gets the place shut down after a single day. She ends up possessing the animatronic in a story we all know too well, but she goes a little crazy while being an animatronic, willing to kill you in sister location when the power goes out, and then, you know, killing Henry in FNAF World, which is kind of poetic in a way. Like father, like daughter in this case. William took Henry's daughter's life, and William's daughter took Henry's life, which is weirdly beautiful but also horrible. And this girl is out there chopping heads off, and she like wasn't even old enough to make a Club Penguin account. Yikes. And at 6, stuck in the middle. And to those of you who may be confused as to why it would have been Elizabeth killing Henry even though she was possessing Baby at the time of his death, Elizabeth is still inside Baby. We can see it much like how we can see the body of someone else in Funtime Freddy's wireframe and the blueprints in FNAF 6. There is actually a body of a kid stuck inside Baby as well. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that William would have taken his daughter's body out of Baby since she had, you know, possessed the animatronic, and then just like threw Baby back out there to collect more kids instead of studying her even more. Like at this point, William already knew about Remnant, but he'd never seen it work. He'd never seen the possession work. He knew about it, but he didn't know about it, you know? But this time, it had something to do with his family. He had a personal stake in the matter. And the FNAF 6 wireframe is what Henry was using to lure Baby back so that he could release Elizabeth, and doesn't mention any other kind of kid that would be trapped inside of Elizabeth, or Baby. or whatever, they're the same thing. So yeah. Halfway through into number 5, lawsuit legality. I've mentioned these lawsuits from FNAF 6 a lot recently, but there's good reason for it, okay? Lawsuit number 4, at least in the gallery order on the fandom wiki, which is civil suit number 365422879, has their first complaint is, quote, a young boy suffered severe mental trauma because of defendant Fazbear Entertainment Inc.'s cold-hearted indifference to the health and well-being of the human population, which, while true, would not actually, I think, be valid on a lawsuit. You can't really describe the company as cold-hearted or say that they don't care about the health and well-being of the human population. I'm pretty sure that that's slander, or maybe libel depending on how they would want to pursue it because it's written on the document, but it's also being said, I don't know, okay? But as it would pertain to like the facts of the case, you have no information as to what's in the brains of other people. It's like how you can't say what someone else said, you know, like objection hearsay. Like you can't speak to what's in other people's minds. And in this case, it doesn't seem like Fazbear has really much fault. Like the ground gave way beneath this boy and he got trapped in basically a mini sinkhole, something which would have been near impossible to calculate. And it's even noted on the suit that Fazbear Entertainment was lowering him pizza and party favors while they were waiting for emergency services. And all this kid developed as a result of this was a fear of the dark and a fear of anchovies, both of which are common among kids already. I have both of these. I'm not gonna eat anchovies, and also I don't like the dark. You don't know what's in there, so yeah, I don't know how that's really an issue. In it for crying child chest. In Princess Quest, the security breach version, not the help wanted mobile port version, there are purple chests that are meant to contain keys that are in essence like ending of the level chests. But a while ago, and I'm talking like 2021, I'm pretty sure, someone pointed out to me that the purple chest actually kind of looks like crying child. There's 2 black eyes on the lid, slightly lighter streaks coming down from those eyes, and a stripe on the shirt. I mean, I made a quick reference photo to show you what I mean if you haven't seen it before, where I just added like color to the parts to help you better visualize it. But honestly, after this was pointed out to me, I knew that I'd have to bring it up on a list, and I haven't been able to unsee it. Like, God, I've been gathering points for years for some of these, okay? Like, damn. I don't know if it was intentional, but it doesn't seem wrong, you know? Getting close to the end of number 3, Your Honor. This is the last point that's going to involve the FNAF lawsuits on this list. However, in civil case number 834710865, the one involving the third bite incident, actually has quite the interesting judge presiding over the trial. Judge Steve Kaufman is listed on the complaint, which should be taken note of because the initials of SC are quite important to FNAF, given that the creator, Scott Cawthon, also shares those initials. And considering how Steve Kaufman and Scott Cawthon sound so damn similar, I think that we can all agree that this is probably just a nod to the creator of the series and the founder, at least in a way, like the founder who didn't kill countless people in an attempt to find the secrets to immortality, I think. I don't know. I guess maybe he did do that because he wrote the story where all of that happened to those people. So, that's a way of looking at it. Don't sue me, Scott, please. But ultimately, and number 2, evil programming. Have you ever thought about why these animatronics are actually like attacking you in depth? Like, sure, we know it's because we look like William or whatever and the animatronics were being possessed. But if I was possessing something and I was going after the man that I thought had killed me, I'd get pretty steamed if he kept shutting a door in my face every time I got close to enacting my revenge. But if that also keeps happening, do you know what I would do? I would change things up. You know, I would go down a different path than the same path that I was doing every time I got blocked. But nobody does that in FNAF 1. Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, they all stick to their same paths every single time they come after us, which makes me think that they aren't really doing that because they want revenge or because we aren't wearing an animatronic suit. No, the repeated patterns and inability to adapt to different situations really makes this seem like it's their purpose, that it's intentional. It's like what they were told to do in their programming. Following the same route every time is what code does. It's what the programming is telling them to do. Angry spirits possessing robots would be adapting even if they are kids, alright? I'm just gonna say it. Spirits don't have to follow the same linear line every single time. They're a ghost. They can do whatever. And finally, in at number 1, it's me. There are only 2 people who, at least to my knowledge, were able to see this Easter egg, and it involves the Curse of Dreadbear DLC and completing a game to be taken to that victory screen. In that victory screen, which I talked about earlier in the barn, you can find 3 posters reminiscent of ones from the alleyways in Pizzeria Simulator. However, this is where the ability to unlock the Easter egg is determined, because you need to get all 3 of them to be clowns, which is incredibly rare, and I mean incredibly rare. I spent way too much time trying to do this and I never got 3. Plus, then you need to be able to hit them all with darts, which you only get 4 of, so if you miss 2 of them, you're screwed. Okay, I had been looking for that Easter egg for hours, probably full days if I just add up all the time that I spent. I was never able to find it. Okay, I was doing it in lockdown. I was playing that game, torturing myself just to try to find this damn thing, and I didn't. Okay, I wanted to so badly. So if you manage to do this, good luck. Because the barn will change into a Blacklight version where the victory banner changes to read "It's me" and everything just starts glowing because of the Blacklight. Apparently, Johnny Blocks and Dawko are the only 2 to have ever gotten this Easter egg, from what I've seen at least, and what I've been told in the comments, but like not even MatPat was able to do this. And Eddie VR wasn't even trying, but yeah, God, if I wanted to find this, I would have to spend way too much time in the game again, so I'd rather not, but I guess it's kind of par for this series because, you know, emotional, eternal torment. Kind of like my ex. It's been 2 years. Move on. In a 10 daycare hole. One of the most interesting aspects of a free roam game is all the secret areas and Easter eggs you can hide, like the Portal 2 Easter egg hidden in Skyrim of all games. However, in FNAF, it's much more than that, since each tiny Easter egg or detail can help us figure out what the hell has been going on in this series for the past 8 years, which makes the appearance of secret little cubby holes around the Pizzaplex very interesting. Like the one for the Moondrop and Sunnydrop animatronic hidden behind the daycare center behind a Foxy poster unlocked by taking pictures of certain cardboard cutouts that are also actually on the poster, which makes me think, are there more areas that need to be unlocked like that, or something like that? I'm sure many have tried various things, but I don't know, it feels like there should be one for like the laser gun equivalent. In this little hole, however, you can find a mini game called Balloon Boy World, which we will talk about more later on. But also, it contains a duffel bag with lore and the Golden Moon animatronic plush required for one of the achievements, so it's certainly somewhere that you'd want to go. You can also get the achievement for playing the Balloon Boy World minigame also. And at 9, Vanessa Therapy. Something I was unaware of until completing the game and getting Roxy's eyes were 16 retro CDs that can be found towards the end of the game. You have to actually have Roxy's eyes to see them though, because they don't spawn in unless you have the eyes. These can be played with a CD player hidden in a sister location secret room. The retro CDs require Roxanne's eye upgrade on Glamrock Freddy, and for the CDs to spawn in, Gregory has to be inside an upgraded Glamrock Freddy, be near the disc and like looking at where it would be, and then exiting to actually be able to collect it, otherwise it won't spawn in if you're looking away. The order in which the CDs are found does not seem to affect which recordings are unlocked, just the amount of CDs found, which is clearly a reference to the 16 tapes found in FNAF VR that weren't really found in a particular order. Collecting them just seemed to unlock them in sequence. However, these tapes seem to also contain therapy sessions between Vanessa and a therapist, as well as a therapist and another individual who goes unnamed, but could also be Gregory. We don't know because they never talk. And at 8, Fire Dave. One of the various lore duffel bags we can stumble upon in this game is a customer complaint titled Hi Dave, which upon inspection reads, quote, "Customer complaint. You should fire Dave, he sucks." And while it's short and sweet and to the point, it also is seemingly a reference to the FNAF novels, since if you're unaware, in the novels William Afton was introduced, but at first he was going by the alias Dave Miller. And considering how this customer says that we should fire Dave, I think that's a pretty telling way to reference the book's most infamous employee, and also reference the fact that Afton is in the Pizzaplex right below our noses. This duffel bag can be found on the farthest left bench next to the lockers in customer service, which seems to indicate that Dave also worked in customer service. Just a horrible place for a serial killer to work, just saying. And it's 7, Joy of Creation. The anticipation for the Fazbear Fanverse initiative is building now that Security Breach has released and we don't know anything about what's coming next in the main FNAF universe. However, there are actually references to some of the Fanverse games in Security Breach. For example, the Joy of Creation Easter eggs of Ignited Freddy and Ignited Bonnie found on the House of Bear and House of Bear 2 arcade cabinets found around the Pizzaplex. This is something I actually picked up on my first time through, so needless to say, it's pretty damn cool that I was right about it. The House of Bear cabinet has Ignited Freddy's silhouette standing in the doorway, and House of Bear 2's machine features Ignited Bonnie's face, which could be considered Withered Bonnie, but given the context of Ignited Freddy on the other one, I think it's safe to say that this is Ignited Bonnie. Plus, this can also explain how these games fit into the main timeline, since the Fanverse games could just be the games that Scott's in-universe counterpart made. It would also explain why they have their own FNAF 1 version titled FNAF Plus. And at 6, Freddy Mercury. Did you know that Freddy Fazbear in the opening cutscene to FNAF Security Breach is actually making a reference to Freddy Mercury? Yeah, neither did I. But thanks to some helpful YouTube commenters, not on these videos, on other videos, it was pointed out to me there. While on stage when showcasing his name, Freddy Fazbear strikes a similar pose to Freddy Mercury, which is kind of iconic and understandable given that both their names are Freddy. And I don't really want to see Freddy getting up on his toes, grabbing his crotch and yelling, "Ow!" in reference to Michael Jackson. Someone also ended up making an album cover for the Glamrock band singing Bohemian Rhapsody, which is absolutely iconic and I love it. I kind of want to hear this now though. Like, why can't we have this instead of like Freddy telling Gregory that he needs to vent like a sussy baka? Like, why has that been going around? Like, Gregory, have you heard of Among Us, Gregory? You need to vent. I don't know. And why is my TikTok For You page filled with FNAF memes and FNAF related content all of a sudden, okay? It was like the one safe place I had. But now there's like Glamrock Freddy filters and like Sunny Drop filters and Gregory being a sussy baka and like, but Vanessa, I'm a material girl things. Like, what the f, man? Why? How are we doing at number 5? Fan art. Continuing on the FNAF multiverse idea, the whoopsie we know from the original cover art of FNAF VR Help Wanted could be in fact another addition to this multiverse. While not intended, the original cover art did contain fan art. The FNAF multiverse opens up this cover to actually being a reality. If anything, these could already be in theory canon, because it's been made and released. It's not some theoretical thing that could have happened, it actually did happen, and there was a decent kerfuffle about it when the news first dropped. But at least it could be a way to get like a few more characters into the FNAF multiverse, which is definitely going to be a thing with the new FNAF games, and already a thing with the books and the upcoming movie. At least at some point, because this thing is going to have us waiting longer than The Elder Scrolls 6. And that hurts me to say on a personal level. Headed for Glitchtrap Conspiracy. Glitchtrap is the antagonist of the latest main series title, FNAF Help Wanted, the VR title that later got itself a flat version. However, he was supposedly an accident after being scanned in when they used a hard drive in order to make the AI of the animatronics. However, for an accident, this character is able to do an awful lot in game. He can interact with things like curtains and other sections of the game. Like, how is he able to do that if he was just an accident? Sure, they would have AI, but they would have had to code separate collision, right? Maybe not because like he's a spirit, but who knows. It just seems off to me like he had to have some form of help to get the control that he does in game. At least being able to interact with aspects of the game. Like, he shouldn't be able to do that, right? Even we can't move curtains and stuff. The hard drive was just for AI, not collision. And no other animatronics really move things other than Foxy and the camera and the DLC. Like, at least from what I've seen. Like, and the whole like, oh yeah, here, use this hard drive, it'll help you with the AI, that just seems shifty to me. I don't know, it's weird, okay? Something's going on there. Vanny wasn't around yet, so who did it? Who gave him the hard drive? Who did it? Which one of you? No one's going home until someone tells me who did it. And at 3, flash forward. One confusing part of the game lore to me is the death of Henry Emily, the father of the puppet and the one who set the fires in both FNAF 3 and FNAF 6. Since he stays to burn in FNAF 6, so nobody will remember the horrors that occurred. But thanks to FNAF World's additional cutscenes after an update, where we see the introduction of Baby and the death of Henry, who we figured was Henry because he says he helped create the monster, which would most likely be referring to William or the animatronics, but either way, Henry helped. But like I said, if he dies in FNAF World, how is he alive in FNAF 6? That couldn't have been Henry, right? Well, who else is at the FNAF 6 location? Baby. It could very well be that this is a flash forward to the FNAF 6 location even before sister location had been released, which is crazy and pretty cool. It also explains why Baby had to get kicked out of the Animatronic, because she had to be a separate entity so that she could kill William, like that cutscene. And it too, no sequels. This is fairly common knowledge, but it's something everyone seems to forget, and honestly, it's crazy to think about. The original game was meant to be Scott's final attempt at being a game designer after multiple games not taking off. But thanks to some incredible ideas, reviews, mysteries, and YouTuber support, the game blew up and got itself some sequels. However, since there was no intended sequel, the canonicity of the first game can be confusing. Does it matter? Should we ignore it? No, because while it may be slightly outdated, Scott has said that the game still has significance and the game is still canon. What that really means is unknown, like if all the parts of it matter, or if we should just keep an eye on this game since it will be needed to sort out the whole timeline. Like, we don't know if all of it matters or if the things that don't conflict aren't canon. We aren't sure. Finally, in at number 1, the end. There was actually meant to be an end to FNAF. The Five Nights series wasn't intended on being more than one game, as I said before, but after it got a sequel, the game wasn't going to be as long as we know it to be today. The story wasn't going to be as complicated and convoluted as it is now, because the series was supposed to end after FNAF 3. The series was going to be fairly cut and dry. William kills 5 kids by luring them into the back room, and then they get possessed. The restaurant closes and then reopens after sealing his Springtrap body inside. He is then released and Fazbear Frights opens, but burns to the ground with him inside, and with FNAF 3 being the original ending, William would have died in that fire, and honestly, I would have loved that. No confusing crying child or Big Brother shenanigans, no convoluted timeline, but Scott ended up making FNAF 4 because the community was overall disappointed with the Springtrap jump scare, and he didn't want something that disappointed people to be the last game of the series. That's why the Nightmare animatronics are so terrifying. It's an overcorrection. And honestly, I understand, because, like, I am too. I'm disappointed with it. Hence why I don't think that Springtrap is that scary of an animatronic, but also because he isn't an animatronic, he's a dude in a suit, but still. So yeah, FNAF 3 would have been the end of the series if the Springtrap jump scare had actually been scary. So I guess we can thank William for our continued content and channel growth. Thanks, dude. Many lives have been sacrificed. That's also from another interview of his, in case you're wondering. And at 10 lives. I think the one thing that would have changed everything is if FNAF had a life system. Sure, you can go back and you can try the night again after you fail night 5 thanks to the continue button, but I think lives would have made the game much worse rather than better. Part of the appeal of the game is that you have one shot, and while yes, it saves what night you're on, you still need to restart everything, and I think lives would take away from that, even though it's basically the same thing, unless the lives would get you to continue the night that you were literally currently playing. Like if you got jump scared at 5 AM, you'd still be at 5 AM, which would kind of break the game, especially if you use the glitch where you can continue a jump scare for a long time while still continuing the night. With the system it has, lives are kind of redundant, but we know that that was planned thanks to gameplay that was left on Scott's YouTube channel from the development days of the first FNAF game. I can't believe this game has gone from a last-ditch attempt to being featured next to God of War and Call of Duty. That's insane. And at 9, Glamrock wardrobe swap. This is something that I didn't even notice until I went into the comments of the first Security Breach trailer. Yeah. In summer of 2020, Funko leaked the designs of the action figures for Security Breach, thus leaking the designs of the animatronics. People were pissed about this, obviously, since Scott had specifically told Funko not to release anything, or at least we figured as much. Like, I don't know if he made a post about it or something like that, but like, Funko leaks things a lot. Anyway, the designs of the characters from the actual game are different to those that the action figures had. The designs are different, okay? This is most notable on Roxanne's clothing, where Scott moved the black star shapes, and on Monty's guitar, where he removed or moved the black stripes to be smaller or something like that. Chica's guitar is also a lighter blue and mostly white, as opposed to the white and darker blue of the original action figure, and the animatronics in the trailer are properly proportioned. The action figure heads, they just weird me out. Like, the normal pop heads, that's fine, but like, when it's an action figure that's supposed to be properly proportioned, I don't like it. And at 8, Immobile Freddy. The original FNAF that Scott had in mind is not at all like the one we know today. Well, it is in the sense of this is what he wanted to make, but so many ideas and mechanics were added and changed that while we know FNAF is a point and click that gets progressively harder, adding more animatronics later on in the playthrough, that wasn't what Scott had planned from the beginning. In a statement on Reddit, Scott revealed that he originally had plans to make Freddy only jump scare you if you run out of power, and that he never wanted him to leave the main stage. Eventually this changed, and we'll probably never really know why. Maybe it was because the game was too easy, or maybe he wanted to see how things would go with 2 animatronics in the same hallway, or perhaps he had Freddy moving around but got jump scared randomly and kept it in, or he just wanted to torture us more like the sadistic fool we all know and love him to be. I don't know, okay? Why did you do this to me, Scott? Why? I'm kidding. Just please notice me. Sky Daddy Scott. I'm bringing it back. Sky Daddy Scott. And at 7, Mangle Vent. FNAF VR introduced the vent repair minigames featuring Mangle and entered in some of the scariest experiences I've been through, okay? I've played through the Mangle vent repair from that game on this channel actually, and it was terrifying. Now, despite my idiocy in that same video, dealing with 3 vents was fairly simple, okay? They open one by one. And then you kind of have to just look down them. However, it was actually planned to have another vent at the top of the elevator. So every time you see that opening and you think that Mangle may pop up there, Mangle was planned to have 4 entry points the whole time, and not one behind you, no, one above you. Can you imagine how rude of an awakening that would have been if nobody had noticed it? And how incredibly terrifying it would have been if it was implemented? It would be over. Anakin, Mangle has the high ground, and I am 100% certain that it would have caused a lot more deaths. I know that I would have died if Mangle had come through the top. Imagine. I don't want to deal with that. No, like they're over top. They have so much more power when they are above you. I don't want to deal with it, no. And at 6, the box. The infamous box that was first released with the ending to FNAF 4, saying some things are best left forgotten for now. But that for now was kind of like a politician's campaign promise. They never really followed through, because we never really found out what was in the box. However, the community seems to think that the contents of the box have changed. Originally, it was believed to have been dream theory, since Scott originally said the community may not accept what was in the box. However, there are also multiple other theories, like the box contains the body of Crying Child, which we heard from MatPat. It was also rumored to have been revealed in the Security Breach teaser game, like the Fury's Rage, the side-scrolling beat-em-up one. But I don't think that was a thing. I can't see that, but like people were claiming that it does. If anyone has links to that, you can send them to me on like Instagram or something. Don't put them in the comments because YouTube might auto-delete links. I don't know. And apparently the box was supposed to be revealed in FNAF World, and they decided not to do it. And the box has changed a lot. Okay, all right. Deal with it.
Number 5, FNAF 4 ending. The clock ending will reveal the same character from when you first started the game. This character will reassure you that we are still your friends, but asks if you still believe that. This is similar to the ending that we see from FNAF 4, but instead of telling the player that they will put them back together again, they are instead told by the character, who is obviously meant to resemble everyone's favorite psychic friend Fredbear, but shrouded in darkness, that the pieces are in place for you, but you yourself will need to find them. This ending also gives you the Crying Child trophy, which is obviously another tie to FNAF 4. Number 4, Halloween Land. Halloween Land is an update that was added to FNAF World. However, it is an area that you can only access after beating the game. It doesn't just appear as bonus content, unlike other game updates and bonus content. One of the ways you can find and access this area is to visit Deskman after beating the game. Once you talk to him and leave his home, Fredbear will appear outside and open up a portal for you. Oh, thank you, how convenient. Moving through that portal takes you to Halloween Land or the Halloween Backstage Update area, whichever you prefer to call it. Number 3, Secret Graveyard Path. In the graveyard, there is a path that takes you all the way to the beginning of the game. This shortcut can be very useful, especially if you are trying to achieve certain objectives in order to unlock trophies, endings, or other such achievements in-game. Once you've unlocked Halloween Land, this path will also become available to you, if you can find it. In order to do so, you'll need to position yourself between 2 rocks near the windmill in Fazbear Hills. From there, move left until you hit a tree. If you continue to move left without stopping, you will eventually move through that tree, sort of phasing through it, and enter Halloween Land. Ooh, spooky. Number 2, Old Man Consequences. This is an ending you have to get to in a very specific way. Okay, let's go. You have to get here by visiting glitches and moving in a very specific path to the 4th one. Once you access that glitch, it will take you to a subtunnel with nothing but some trees, a lake, and a man who is fishing on that lake. This man appears to be glitch-like himself and is red with jagged teeth and seems to be kind of shaped like a crocodile? This is Old Man Consequences. He will tell you that you have bottomed out in the code, and so this is basically the end of the line for you, and you must just accept it. This is one of the alternate endings you can get. However, if you've gotten every other ending in the game and been here multiple times before, it's actually possible to beat and kill Old Man Consequences, who doesn't really put up a fight. I guess he's just at peace with his lot. He's like, we're at the bottom of the code, you're killing me, whatever. Number 1, Final Boss. Although there are a myriad of endings in FNAF World, the secret and final boss for this game, the final boss, can only be unlocked and beaten once you have defeated all 4 Guardians and have played through the game on hard mode. Doing so will mean you can finally head to the red tent and enter it, which will allow you to approach the final boss fight. Who is the final boss in FNAF World? Why, it's none other than Scott Cawthon, of course. Well, Scott Cawthon does seem to have similarities or connections to Deskman in the game, which we talked about earlier. This is his real in-game version. Once you instigate the fight and face off with Scott in-game, he will tell you, it was fun being the puppet master, but now I grow weary. It is time to put you in your place. This fight is a tough one, by the way, but if you manage to succeed, Scott will use his dying breath to ask you, was this really the ending you wanted? Coming all the way here just to kill me? Was I really the villain in your mind? He'll tell you that he hopes you feel good about yourself killing him, and ending the story by killing the storyteller. Bursting into pixels, the words, the end, will then come up on screen.
And at 10, Coffee. In FNAF VR Help Wanted, you can see multiple different animatronics. However, the most interesting one, at least in my opinion, and probably the coolest one, is actually the hidden animatronic of Coffee, which isn't even an animatronic from the FNAF series. It's actually from another one of Scott's games, which failed, like every other game before FNAF. Unfortunately, though. I mean, like, at least FNAF was successful. Then, the other games were as well, after FNAF. The game from which Coffee hails is called Desolate Hope, and in that game, Coffee is an autonomous service robot designed to tend to the needs of nearby humans. It's basically a sentient coffee machine that actually makes coffee. Welcome to Yog Labs. I mean, I wish, but no, the coffee machine never actually works, and if it does, you should be concerned. Coffee can be seen in Five Nights 3 if you reload the level enough times in FNAF VR, and he'll be sitting on your desk at some point, hopefully. You're unable to interact with him, and he won't actually make you coffee, which does suck, because, you know, when I'm being freaked out by a 60-year-old dude trapped in an animatronic who's trying to kill me, coffee would really settle my nerves, and I'm definitely going to need it if I'm working from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., okay? God, imagine FNAF, but it's real time and you can only play between 12 and 6 a.m. That would suck. Someone should do that. That's funny as hell, though. Someone do that so that Markiplier can do it, because I'm not going to. If people aren't even gonna consider me the king of FNAF, I'm not even gonna try. And at 9, Blood on the Cover. The security logbook is a real point of contention for the series, but like, whatever. I'm not talking about what's inside the book, content-wise. This time I'm talking about why there are literal pages covered in or splattered with blood, and the restaurant just gives it to you as if nothing's wrong with it, okay? What the hell? What happened to cause blood to get all over this book within the pages, covering the cover, okay? Like, there's fresh blood on it too, like it's shiny, meaning that it must be recent. Like, I'm prone to nosebleeds, okay? But I know that it's not a nosebleed. Okay, you don't lose that much blood unless you're me, but that's because my veins were all screwed up, okay? I had to get the inside of my nose burnt in elementary school because I had like 20 small burns on each side because there's veins. It was a mess, okay? But not even that would generate this much blood, okay? So why is this book covered in blood? And why is no one mentioning it, okay? Someone else wrote in the book, but they also bled all over it. That's not sanitary. That's not OSHA safe. What's going on? I don't know. Dark Carnival. In the spin-off game, FNAF Security Breach Fury's Rage, which I actually played on the channel. If you want to check that out, you can go find it. But you fight as one of the 4 Security Breach animatronics, and you go against a slew of enemies. These enemies include the characters from like Clown Springtrap from FNAF AR's Dark Carnival event. But not only do we see that character, we can actually see the carnival itself in the background when that character gets introduced into this game. Clown Springtrap gets introduced in the 2nd level, and while scrolling through the street, whenever the background isn't blocked by a building in the middle, you can actually see the top of a tent, which is no doubt meant to be a carnival, okay? Because like, there's also the Clown Springtraps. But why? Why are there so many Clown Springtraps there? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of concerning. I mean, like, they're after us. I don't know why they're after us, but like, there are so many clown it is a version of the serial killer that put you out of business. Why are you making clown versions at a damn carnival? And why do we never see Magician Mangle or Ringmaster Foxy? That's another mystery, okay? But it's a little thing nonetheless. In its 7th secret poster. This is no secret, even though I don't know what it looks like, but you can find answers on like Google Images. The FNAF VR DLC has a barn as its victory screen whenever you finish a game successfully. When you win, you're brought to this barn, basically, alright? However, there are 3 posters that can be one of 3 things, and in the distance there's a secret 4th poster that never changes. But you can't really get a good look at it without boundary breaking, and since I can't do that, I've been forced to remain here trying to squint to see if I can actually see what it says. I don't know, I think it's some version of Chica, but I can't quite be sure. This has been bugging me for so long that I actually might have to get the mod so I can just know, okay? Like, I don't know, it's not lore solving or anything like that, but I feel like I should know, okay? It bothers me to my core, and it's a hidden detail nonetheless. In its 6th game link. This Easter egg was pointed out by MatPat in one of his final timeline videos for Ultimate Custom Night, not the recent one that was all story-based and not actually evidence-based, but that's beside the point. Where he started the video spending 10 minutes downloading a fresh copy of both FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night so that nothing had been unlocked. Then he showcased that in FNAF World you were able to dive deep into the game's code and visit Old Man Consequences, who will say some things and then ultimately make you drown yourself because you needed to get out of that level. This reveals a secret ending to the game, then it gives you a trophy for it. But in Ultimate Custom Night you are also able to visit Old Man Consequences, who tells you to leave the demon to his demons, rest your own soul, we all know about that. However, if you do this, you'll also need to drown yourself again to leave that game. Doing this, however, while never even having played a second of FNAF World, will actually unlock the Old Man Consequences trophy in FNAF World if you've done it at Ultimate Custom Night, which is odd, but might be Scott's way of saying that that game is still canon. I mean, it did talk about sentient code and that things in that game can affect the real world, since it had like, you had to lay out the clues for FNAF 3 in it, hinting at the fact that that game might have been key in solving the lore, but at this point it's not because goddamn this game has gotten confusing. But I mean, like, come on, sentient code affecting the outside world, that's all of Security Breach. That's exactly what Security Breach was talking about. So yeah, Glitchtrap confirmed. Halfway through into number 5, Gregory's missing. This is something I picked up on in the second ending I got in my playthrough, in what is commonly referred to as the worst ending, where you simply leave the Pizzaplex by yourself without Freddy. The first ending I got is actually the Vanny ending, which to me is my canon ending. It's a different way to explain that. But in this ending, Gregory ends up running away and hiding in a cardboard box. This box is assumed by most to be his home, since he doesn't really have one and can't really return to the Pizzaplex. However, this is where this detail comes in. The newspaper he's using as a blanket has multiple silhouettes of the children who have gone missing this time around. 9 of them, this time to be exact. However, the one in the bottom left corner looks an awful lot like Gregory when he's standing in front of all those security monitors in the first Security Breach trailer. I'm just saying, especially when Vanessa says that he's been wiped from the system, and I'm pretty sure one of those lore bags also shows us that we've been wiped from the system as per someone's request. So that's certainly not a coincidence. And I doubt Scott used it and just thought, oh yeah, this is easy, let's do that. No, not a chance. There has to be something there. In at 4, Monty the Murderer. One of the biggest questions this game seems to have is, where did Bonnie go? While with sister location, simply put, Funtime Chica was rented out, that's not really the case with Bonnie in Security Breach. We hear Freddy say that there isn't a bunny here anymore, in a somber way as if he was killed, but by who is the bigger question. In the lore duffel bags, we can find various bits of evidence though that suggest Monty could be to blame, since after all he did end up replacing Bonnie as the new bass player after his accident. But was it really an accident? Let's look what the bags say. Quote, "The bowling alley needs a retheme. While most of the Bonnie art was removed, kids keep asking where's Bonnie? Do we have an officially approved response?" Which makes it seem like Bonnie isn't simply out of commission. But we can get even more specific. Quote again, 12:24 a.m., Bonnie is seen leaving his green room in Rockstar Row headed east towards the atrium. 2:40 a.m., Bonnie enters the East Arcade. 4:12 a.m., Bonnie enters Monty Golf. And considering how that's where the log ends, we can be pretty certain that Bonnie ate the dust over at Monty Golf, which would make even more sense given that Monty replaced Bonnie, became more popular than Bonnie, and then was also the last place Bonnie was seen. Seems pretty sus to me. I mean, maybe Monty was the one who should have been venting. In at 3, pizza rumors. Again, found in one of the lore duffel bags, we get quite an interesting parallel between Fazbear Entertainment and Chuck E. Cheese. Found in a party room outside the Moondrop Daycare, we can find, quote, "recycled pizza?" Customer complaint. "The pizza we ordered was weird. Some pieces were different sizes or didn't fit together. One slice even had different toppings. Did you recycle the old pizza from the trash? I am never coming back here unless I am given some form of major discount. Angry mom." End quote. And while they're also playing on the Karen tropes seemingly, this also has a larger reference to the conspiracy theory that Chuck E. Cheese was recycling their pizzas. It was talked about by everyone from Shane Dawson to Matt Pat, with Matt Pat seemingly proving the rumors false, since they ordered a pizza from Pascali's Pizza and from the actual Chuck E. Cheese, which are made in the same kitchen, and the pizzas from Chuck E. Cheese still looked janky as hell, when it's literally impossible to get recycled pizzas because of a pandemic. So, it's not true, but it's certainly an interesting Easter egg nonetheless. Penultimately, in at number 2, Arcade Conspiracy. The Arcade Conspiracy gets its name from one of the duffel bags that you can find, where we learn that something else seems to be going on here. Quote from this Arcade Conspiracy note, "Exit interview. They are working together, the arcades. They are hiding something, the glitches. Glitch them all at the same time, then the princess will recognize me. She's testing me. I am not yet worthy. The others are protecting it. Let me stay. I'm so close. Just one more night, please. I can save the princess." Now it's clear that this seems to be referencing the Princess Quest minigames, however it doesn't really seem like we have to glitch the Princess Quest games in order to win. We just have to beat them in orders from 1 to 3 and then boom we save Vanny. So what could the rest of this mean? Well, there are 3 other arcade machines that seem to be having mysterious glitches as well. The Bloom Boy World game that you can find in the theater and the secret area, Chica's Feeding Frenzy, which won't turn off even when unplugged, that you're supposed to be able to find in the bakery but that hasn't been added yet, and Monty Golf Arcade that according to its duffel bag shouldn't be in the mini golf area, but it is. So what's the deal here? What's going on with these games? And does it have anything to do with the Happiest Day minigame where we need to glitch out various minigames in order to unlock the good ending of FNAF 3? I don't know, but we won't be able to know until Chica's Feeding Frenzy is officially added into the game because they released Security Breach without it being complete. And finally, in at number 1, Freddy and Friends. In the area where you end up forcing Chica to eat garbage in order for her to get crushed, you can find a secret door. A duffel bag will be hidden next to it, indicating that you need to take a picture of the wall to continue, and doing so results in a tiny door opening so that Freddy can't actually fit through, but you can. But the room it leads to is probably one of the most interesting things at all. A replica of the room that Mike watches The Immortal and the Restless in from Sister Location, even including the basket of exotic butters. If that wasn't bad enough, you can also see the Freddy and Friends cartoon on the TV, which explains why Steel Wool was posting them to begin with if they never intended on fully releasing the release date with them, since the security code on the wall was meant to be solved using these cartoons, which is why it's playing on the TV, so you associate that code with Freddy and Friends. But needless to say, it's certainly an interesting and pretty damn cool Easter egg, although it opens up a whole other can of worms if that's the case, since, you know, Glitchtrap was found in the final episode of that, and now this series exists in the FNAF world. I don't know, maybe I'll have to do more research on this, really, to see if there's more going on here than we realize.